Everyone, it's Trish and I'm back with another project for the Fall 2014 series. This is project number 4, and today I'm creating a card using the Paper Smooches Halloweenies dies and stamp set. And you saw in the first clip that I was dyeing out the little pumpkins using the dies. I cut out about 14 of them, and then I went ahead and used the stamp set with some Memento Tuxedo black ink, and I stamped all of them onto the die cuts. And now I'm going in with some Copics and just doing a very quick color on all of them. I'm using YG57 for the green, E35 for the brown, and then for the oranges it's the same combo that I used in my last video, which is YR04 and then YR07 just for some very quick shading. There are 12 pumpkins that I'm using in this wreath that I'm going to create, so I'm doing a very quick coloring, not anything super detailed, and towards the end, unfortunately, I get a little bit sloppy and you see some orange in the eyes. But anyways, I'm moving on, and I cut this cream colored cardstock, and I'm going to be using the Paper Smooches Timber stamp set. I love this wood grain. It's not very fine, it's more of a cartoony wood grain. That's what it reminds me of. So I'm just using the soft brown from Hero Art Shadow ink, and I'm taking that on the stamp and pressing that onto the cream cardstock to just give me a nice background. I felt like the cream was just too simple for the wreath. I needed something else, so I went with this wood grain look. For the sentiment, I wanted to create a backdrop for it, so I'm just taking a Copic marker, the same one I used to color the pumpkins, YR07, and I'm just coloring it onto the same kind of cardstock that Simon Says Stamp 120-pound cardstock. I love this heavy-duty cardstock. That's what I used to do my Copic coloring on. And I'm just using this scrap, and I've colored the YR07 over the strip, and I heat set it just in case. And I'm using the same exact stamp set, the Halloweenies from Paper Smooches, and I'm using the Happy Halloween stamp. I just love the font on this, and it just ties in together with the really whimsical, goofy looking pumpkins. So I use my anti-static tool from EK Success, and I'm stamping the sentiment with Versamark ink, and then I'm using the Ranger super fine detailed white embossing powder and heat setting that. So you'll see that there. I've already trimmed it down. I believe it's about ½ of an inch, and I've trimmed down my cream panel, which is about 3½ to 3 3/4 inches wide, and it's 5½ inches tall. So I'm just going ahead and lining up the pumpkins so that I have an idea of how I want to lay them out for my wreath. And just really getting spacing exactly how I would like it. And then I'm just going to be taking my tape runner and attaching them onto the wood grain panel. So I'm taking the sentiment, and I realize I want to do that same banner thing that I've been doing for the last several videos. I don't know what it is about it. I just love it. It's super easy, and I don't know. I just keep going to it. So you'll see me create a little flagon on each of these small ends that I cut off of the strip of sentiment, and then I'm going to tuck those behind the actual sentiment that's raised up and slightly down, so it looks like this waving banner that requires no dye or anything. It's super easy to achieve. Again, something else that I learned from Jennifer McGuire. So I'm going to go ahead and start attaching the pumpkins with the tape runner like I mentioned, and I'm going to skip through this because it takes me a little while just to get all the spacing out correctly. And then I had about 3 or 4 extra pumpkins, so I'm putting them on some foam adhesive, and I'm going to pop them up just sporadically around the wreath. And I only wanted to do 3 because I felt like 4 was too much, so I saved that extra one, and I'm actually just going to put it in the inside of my card just to tie it all together. So I'm also going to be putting it on foam adhesive though, because I like the way it looks popped up, and I ran out of the Scotch 3M foam strip tape, so you'll see me using dimensionals here. I like them both equally. I just grab whatever's closest at hand. So you'll see there I was trying to decide whether I wanted to use all 4 or just 3, and I went with just the 3 because I felt like the 4 was just too much. And you'll see me here go ahead and attach the banner like I mentioned. I'm going to put the actual sentiment part up on dimensional so that it sticks up a little bit. And I'm going to attach the little flag ends with just some snail adhesive. And you can either line it up exactly with the banner, or you can position it a little farther down or a little farther up to give it a different look. It's really just up to you on your personal preference. So I'm using my grid mat just to help me line up and make sure that both sides come out even and my sentiment banner isn't super wonky. So once I have that down, I go ahead and peel off the dimensionals off the back of the sentiment, and you'll see here that I'll position it slightly above. Sometimes I go a little bit more dramatic, other times I go slightly above. I was going to attach it onto this A2 size green cardstock card base, but I felt like it was getting lost. So I'm just attaching a panel of dark brown cardstock onto the back. There's just 1/4 inch on either side of it. And the bottom was a little bit long, so instead of cutting it with my scissors and totally botching it, I went ahead with my paper trimmer and just trimmed it off so that it was nice and seamless. And I'm going to attach it to the top end of my top folding card, and I'm going to leave a little bit extra on the bottom. I guess I got distracted at this point in time. So yes, I tried to play with twine. I really wanted to incorporate a bow on the wreath, but it just wasn't working with the design. And it was just covering up too much of the pumpkins that I really wanted to showcase. And so I just totally nixed that idea and threw the twine aside and kept going with the rest of my card. And there I'm trying to, and it's just not working. It's not working. Just throw it aside. So I'm going ahead and attach my whole front panel onto my olive green colored card base. Again, this is all cardstock that I have kind of in my extras, and I don't know where it's from, so I apologize for not being able to link up. But this is cardstock that I'm trying to work through and run out of as soon as possible. So there you'll see that I attached the pumpkin just onto the center just to tie it all together. And of course I had to add some Wink of Stella onto my pumpkins to make them all shimmery, and I wanted to add a little bit more whimsical feel, so I added some glossy accents onto the eyes to really pop them up, and you'll get a close-up here. And that completes my card for today. Thanks for joining me for another one of my cards in the Fall 2014 series. Be sure to head over to my blog to check out all the supplies used on this card, and I'll see you guys in the next video.